We're going to jump into looking at second cut at Bonfire 2021. As I was saying a second ago, this is going to be a pretty short review. Didn't get out to cut on Sunday until about noon. So after checking in with everybody, it was towards the tail end of lunch. Ended up spending a lot of my time at load because it looked gnarly, because it was dry and dusty and awful, miserable, exactly the way load should be. And appropriately enough, we missed first load last year. First load last year was done by a tractor because Walton was under COVID protocol for first load. So this year we're getting first load, and that'll be most of what we're looking at from cut 2. So I'm just getting in here at this point. And you got everybody, well, leadership, senior red pot, the junior red pot's brown pot there, just commiserating there at lunch. The closest thing that they get to downtime when nobody's up to any craziness in the woods. Nice time to check on the progress of the day and everything. I believe you can see there in the background, always sneaky with the camera. That's back there is Scott Coker, the chairman of Bonfire's board of directors, taking a break from working with the hogs, where he had been a yellow pot many moons ago, just to check with the senior red pots and jerps on how they think the day is going. There's hogwoods. I was trying to sneak in. So at lunchtime, as is, the way it's always worked, lunch is time for stories and good bull and everything. And I was trying to sneak in because the hogs were about to tell a story. And I think Ace got ahead of me, and that might have been it. That's usually who gives it away. But they saw me, so I wasn't able to get it candid, except for this fella. Did get a candid of him. We're definitely using one of those. It's hot. It was hot again, and that is, we talked about it last week. One of the consequences of starting early, there's reward. You have more time. You can, apply appropriate pace. You budget in for some time that you might lose. Looks like we're going to be getting rain this weekend. We'll see what that turns into. But in exchange, what you end up with is at least one extra week of hot, and it was hot again. It was kind of a tease because the day before had been so comfortable, but there was no cut the day before, so they caught all the misery on Sunday. So, haven't gotten my candid horning in on their good bull time spoiled. I headed out, found a lone brown pot who I guess got bored at lunchtime, and started making some progress, getting a tree out of the way. See what crew he was near. Is that Schumacher? Yeah, nearby Schumacher. Did catch Schumacher telling fables. They did not see me. It was a fairly good fable. I'll give it 3 3/4 out of 5 stars. Right next to them was Leggett and their impressive collection of tools. One of the things that's this happened, and I actually it's kind of nice uh, with last year's COVID protocols and the strict isolation of the different sections of woods, and that the strict enforcement of everybody stays in their own woods. You always want that in any year anyway. Um, but in recent years, there'd been more commiserating and visiting and everything. But last year forced a reset where everybody stayed in their own sections because they had to. Um, and what I noticed is that that's turned into, people being able to leave their stuff out in the open. Because the strangest things happen when people walk through woods and stuff disappears. So um, one of the interesting phenomena that I've observed, people are, you see stuff like this. I didn't see a whole lot of that before. Um, Now I didn't get all the details. I had visited with Squadron 16 um, just a couple nights prior. Visited with their outfit, and I overheard there's Squadron 16 has got 2 brown pots this year, and I overheard them talking about uh, this chain and bar, and I didn't get all the details, but I gathered that they were talking about an upgrade, and yeah, that's a big bar. That's a very big bar. Um, but what he's working on now, this is that tree that he was swinging on with the axe um, when I came out of the OC woods, and so this is what's called dicking the tree. So you're taking off limbs, knobs, um, irritating things that'll dig into your back, and then also make it kind of unwieldy to stack a log. So you're turning a tree into a log is what's going on here. Um, Note the PPE, of course, chaps, and the reminder that only brown pots are allowed to use chainsaws. So I'm gonna go back in there to one of those. I wanted to get kind of the uh, close as I could to a hero angle of that very large chainsaw bar. Axe handle next to a fallen tree. I like to catch those whenever I see one. Axe handles are all they've got their different uh, dedications um, and marks on them. Found Hart doing Hart things. Somebody just did a little shortcut on making I think it was a blue Kool-Aid. And they just kind of cut out one of the primary ingredients there. So delicious. It's I've been accused of people not smiling in my photos very much. See, it happens. It does happen sometimes. Proof positive. At this point, I headed over to Load, or was walking by Load at least. Very dusty, and one of the things about Load, we mentioned it last week. The same as with Unload. There's no shade. It's out in the sun all day, the whole day, and with it having been dry for a while now, it's been very very dusty out there. Now we're expecting a little bit of rain, and I'm gonna be looking forward. I'm gonna be checking in pretty early in the day the next time that there's Load, because when there's been a little bit of rain, the dust that's on the logs um, kind of cakes in there, and whatever dust starts blowing around after it starts to dry up builds up, and you get like it gets some gnarly looking chunky, dirty, cool looking stuff when they throw the logs onto the trucks. So I'll be checking in with them if we get some rain again. But what you also what you get in the dust is it's just we'll see a few of them. Uh, it's just it not fun. So here we had this is the load pot. The load pot belongs on the truck. And one of the things that the load pot can do to stir things up a little bit is to get off the truck. And that's clearly what he's done here. He's running away from the truck, and all the upperclassmen are yelling at all the fish to go get the load pot and bring him back to the truck. So just a little fun divergence, a nice thing to remind everybody, all the fish especially, where the load pot belongs. And so they've got him, and one of the chiefs is going to help him call this log. Some of the good bull at load site. And they did get him up, and there was some discussion as to how best to get him on the truck. Just when they thought they had a plan, the edge of the truck, of course, it's a truck, it's metal, black metal, and right when they figured out they had a plan, that's when you realized how hot the bed of that truck was. So, but they eventually got him up there. I was going, see, this is disappointing. I was going for this. I got the sole of his boot. Oh well. Stop for a second. I was talking to the junior truck pot, and turned back around, caught Ace catching what little shade there is at load site. He might be getting up in years, but once he gets out there, he completely forgets that fact. So he was, hot as it was, he was enjoying himself, motivating everybody. So it was about this point that I figured that, given the limited time I was going to have, and with how load was shaping up for the day, and it's, I don't expect it's going to be this dusty and bright and these conditions for the whole semester. So I figured use the time that I'm going to be out there on second cut to just spend most of that time at least shooting load. So this is one of the green pots out there helping with load. Green pot's one of the top tiers of leadership. Your red pots, junior red pots, browns, and greens getting in the mix. And at this point, they've called for high ports. So we saw that, before they were chasing down the low pot, we saw that they were actually bringing legitimate logs to the truck, real proper logs that take a few people. Well, once you've got enough logs on, you've got here the truck sticks on the side of the truck, and it's piled up a fair bit, and you're not wanting to put any of the, those bigger logs on. They'll call for what's called high ports. And a high port is really anything that two people can carry. And so at this point, they're carrying the high ports. Which is what rounds off and finishes up a truck. So at that point, the truck is now, this one truck is complete. I think this was the third truck of the day. So pretty good clip for the first load of the season to have 3 trucks by, um, well, 1 o'clock, something. Um, and with that truck finished, it's going to take some time. When a truck is finished, you got to chain it down, really buckle down on the chains and uh, get everything buttoned up for the road. So with that going on, I went back out into the woods, found Schumacher, clearing out some of what they've been working on. Making room for trees to swing on. So they are working on a back wedge, and it was about this time one of the green pots showed up and wanted to get a couple swings after the back wedge had been set. She came on right in time, and I think took a handful of swings, and oops. Took the tree. I don't know if I got her expression exactly right. Yeah, that was the oops. Didn't mean to do that so fast. So I don't know, seeing one of the privileges that comes with leadership is getting to show up at the last minute and kill a tree. At this point, Lechner Woods. This was a heck of a log, and this is something that we saw last week, almost immediately jumping into big logs, because this is a cut site that they were at last year, and the tractor pass already cut and the brush is already cleared, and not all the brush, but the brush that you need cleared right now is all clear. And so from the first hour of cut, you might in some seasons spend almost the first day really clearing brush out and getting to the trees. Within the first hour, they were falling uh, real legitimate significant trees, and before lunch they were carrying the trees. So we saw that in the first week, and there were a couple logs that were, hey, that's a mid-season carry right there, and they were doing it right at the start, and that continued into week 2. And I saw them coming, and I realized they were moving faster than I thought they'd be. I was going to come in behind them here while they were going in. There's a big brush pile building up there. I was going to go get right up next to them here, but they were moving at a pretty good clip. So I ran around the other way and caught them kind of emerging from the brush pile. Couple upper leadership here, junior red pot, brown pot up at the front, getting underneath the big end. Certainly not small. I think I'll jump back real quick. How quick was it in first week of cut? I'm jumping back real quick to the first week of cut. Cut class, everybody's going into the woods. Some downswinging on clearing brush. I mean, this is the first tree I saw somebody swinging on, and this was, what time was this? 8. Okay, not even the first hour. This is 8:06 a.m. So, granted, it's not a huge tree, but by 8:17 a.m., they were hauling a substantial freaking log. So like I say, jumped right into it, and that's continuing in week 2. We saw that there with Legner. Don't want to get the nerds upset. And we see that the breadth of that log there. If I remember, there was more than a few different crews jumped in on this. We see Schumacher there, obviously Lechner, upper leadership in on it. Team effort. Not a short trip either. We've gone a ways at this point. And they're getting it up to the skids. So you get it up the skids right there next to the tractor path. And they're getting up close to it at this point. So here's the tractor path back here. And it's making its way that way. Oh, lost that there. This is what I was talking about with that dust all over the place, not just load site. I wanted to get a little bit of that general discomfort. We see Squadron 16 again, hard at it. Well, talk about everybody jumping in and helping out. We saw Schumacher. We saw Lechner in on this. We saw upper leadership jump in on carrying this log. You've also got the Corps has showed up. So Squadron 16 here coming to help out Lechner. Back in the Corps woods again, doing a little bit more brush clearing. This stripe of tape called a virgin stripe. It's anybody who this is their first semester building bonfire. So if you're an upperclassman, but this is your first semester building bonfire, you wear the stripe just the same as the fish are going to wear it. And it's a good indicator of a couple things. If you have a question and you really need an answer, and it's very important that you have an answer because it's an important question, don't ask the person who's wearing a stripe. But also keeping in mind that bonfire is for the fish, and your fish bonfire is always going to be special. The stripe indicates that, you know, this is this year's bonfire. This member is of the company that this bonfire is for. One of the Browns on his way on next set of woods. See what else is going to be called for. And at this point, this is the last little group of photos of going back to load site here. Load site is fun to shoot. I don't know, I kind of groove with it a little bit differently because I just understand it so well, and there's nuances and things to it, and the timing and the rhythm of it that I understand. That I don't know, I just groove to better than other things in the woods. But then again, it can be kind of hard to shoot load because you know, there's things that you see happening that you know, kind of want to assert yourself on. I mean, not like you're in, you know, like your opinion matters or anything, but you want to, you know, say a thing, you motivate, stand up, you know, just you and get into it. And I had to focus sometimes and just stop trying to get into it. Just take your photos and shut up. So this would be a baser, and this is a janky baser. You know, the first logs that you put down are the basers. This is a darn near a banana. Uh, and I believe that this log I had just said how nice this trailer was. I had just been giving them compliments about how squared away and beautiful and well put together the deck of this trailer was. And I shouldn't have said anything because I think it was this log here, if not this one, then maybe the next one that had one of those knobs dig into the deck and just ripped a huge chunk out of it. So, oops. Unfortunate, but I should point out the decking. This is all 2x6 decking, solid wood. See proof. Sometimes people smile. It happens. Solid wood, and in any year, it's not cheap, but here they are with clearly, you know, it's not that well used. This started out new just a week ago, 2 weeks ago at this point, and like I say, not cheap. So all credit to American Lumber Company, American Lumber Inc. I believe it's Inc. Either way, American Lumber, motivated, good ags who have contributed to Bonfire by donating decking material for the trucks, which, as I said, as soon as you recognize that it's nice and solid and sturdy and well put together, it's ruined. And American Lumber comes through every year and donates them enough solid wood lumber to deck that trailer and beat the heck out of it and ruin it a few times over every year. So great folks at American Lumber, and just another one of those examples of, you know, if you do something, you create something, you have something that you're good at, almost guaranteed there will be an application for that at Bonfire. So I recommend reaching out to Bonfire, info@studentbonfire.com. And, you know, see what you can do. And one more time, thanks again to American Lumber for making that happen, especially these days. So here we get, you know, really the picture of what's happening out there at Load Site on a day like today. Just brutally hot, intense, early September, worst part of the summer type stuff. And the dust, just enough wind to put it in the air, but not enough to offer any relief. They've brought, this log has now been brought up to here, and this happens a lot. Like I was saying, it's hard not to, it's hard to remember to keep taking photos. It's very easy for me, at least, to get into it. And so this happens a lot. Log's not there. The next time I take a photo, they're putting it onto the truck. But this happens mostly, though, at the beginning of the season. And the same sort of thing happens in the woods too, when somebody's cutting down a tree that's got a weird lean to it, or somebody's moving a log, and you can tell that it's you know uh, an intense log for that time of year. The same sort of thing will happen where we're all kind of start paying attention as an interested party, unless somebody who's supposed to be taking pictures. But oh well, they got it down. I think I ended up getting I did. Yeah. I'm sneaking ahead. I got a decent one baser going on before we left. Now this is over near Club Walton. Walton is at load site all year. Most years you shoot for one cut site. That's what you really, really want. And so they're going to be in the same spot all year long. The other crews are going to be moving around as they eat up woods and with the different assignments to different sections of woods every week. But Walton's going to be in the same spot the whole year long. So they make Club Walton, and right outside of Club Walton, here they are shaving down the truck sticks. The truck sticks we saw at the beginning on the almost complete truck were the sort of pegs hammered into the side there. So you're going to have guys outside of Club Walton for all day doing this action, shaving down the truck sticks. So they just what they're doing, taking these long or straight, maybe coffee can size, a bit smaller than a coffee can size branches, and cutting those down to the truck sticks. They had you see back here, there's the big pile of them all piling up there. And all around here, I'll come back next week and take a photo of it, but it's just a bed of chips. It's making truck sticks all day, every day. So here they are bringing a pretty darn good one. And at this point, Kruger has joined in. So Walton was trucking along, but you'll rotate crews in to load. And Kruger got to pay a visit. So here they are calling this one in. And we see this is what they're walking into. And it gets worse when you're shuffling your feet, not picking your feet up, not trying not to step on anybody. But get it up to the truck, clear the truck. This one was definitely such a big log, and it was Kruger's first log joining load this year. So I definitely consciously stopped taking pictures for a second and just kind of looked at the situation and saw if they needed a useless old turd to do something. But they got it squared away well. They cleared the log. So when you bring it up to the truck, and again, we'll revisit this in more detail. I'll come back at some point and get more of the whole process. But you bring it up and you clear the inside of the truck, and everybody who's between the log and the truck runs up underneath the log and comes to the other side and holds it up. And then, 1-2 on the truck. So they drop this impressive baser on there. You see the load pot has hopped on top of it, throw that leg over, throw something over, keep that log from rolling back. Got themselves a good log, and then immediately run back for more because there's no walking at load site. Everywhere else in the woods, everywhere else, walk with a purpose, no running in the woods. But at load site, there's no walking at load site. So everybody's hustling back out to get another one. And it was at this point that I had to turn around and head back into town. So that's the second week of cut. What happened a lot last year is I caught the first half of the day, and then would come back for the second week of cut for the first load. This year it just worked out that I came and got everything after lunch. So there it is. I'll be back out again this weekend for third cut after we beat the hell out of the Lobos. And we'll jump back on. Things are starting to settle down here with other stuff I got going. So I'm hoping that from this point forward, we'll be able to start doing this regularly on a set schedule. I'm hoping for Tuesdays or Wednesdays, sitting down and doing these live streams. I believe going to be able to spend a little bit more time this weekend than what we did last weekend. So follow on Facebook, Dion C Gallery, Twitter, Dion C Gallery. Of course, look at all this dust that gets into cameras that eventually messes things up. And your support helps me keep up with all that stuff and keep shooting this. So patreon.com/Dion C Gallery. Become a patron, support the gallery. You get some prints out of the deal. Once we make this a regularly scheduled thing, we'll have the Zoom call. That will be patrons can jump on the Zoom call while this is also going out to YouTube for everybody else. So, please consider that. Patreon.com/Dion C Gallery. And of course, none of this happens if people don't support Bonfire. So studentbonfire.com/support or email info@studentbonfire.com. See what room Bonfire has for anything that you think that you might like to offer. And of course, follow Bonfire on Facebook and Twitter @studentbonfire. And also dion-c.me. You'll find these photos after they're developed and prepared for distribution. dion-c.me. Photos will be published there throughout the year. We now have cut class and first cut up, and it'll be probably tomorrow. We'll have these photos up. So check them all out. Follow all those things. Support. Build the hell out of Bonfire Aggies. Beat the hell out of the Lobos. And then, build the hell out of Bonfire. Gigamags.